Welcome to the next installment of the Dismount Podcast, and today we are discussing episode 51, Accountability. How do I hold myself to the standard in my head? So, as always on this podcast, we throw down 6 questions. All of us go, we journal on them, and then we come back together and we rip an episode out here. Vulnerable, authentic, just absolute dumping going on whenever we rip these episodes. So, today we got Brandon. We got Derick, we got myself, Zack. These are the Dismount OGs, and we're about to rip on accountability. So let's rip that episode outline for you real fast. The 6 questions are, when have you set a high standard for yourself, but failed to meet it? What got in the way, and how did you respond to that failure? Number 2, do you feel more motivated by internal accountability or external accountability? And how do those forces show up in your life? Number 3, have you ever crossed the line between being accountable and being a people pleaser? Do you know when your yes was genuine or guilt driven? Oh, that one's going to be a doozy. Number 4, what makes someone a great accountability partner, and how do you choose the right people to hold you to your dreams? Number 5 is going to be, what's a routine, mindset, or system that helps you track and follow your goals even when no one else is watching? And the last one is, if the version of you in your head could sit across from you right now, what would they say about how you're showing up today? So let's go right off into number 1. When have you set a high standard for yourself but failed to meet it? What got in the way, and how did you respond to that failure? For me, I set way too high of a standard for myself on a regular basis. And I can tell you that I have come up failure after failure after failure so many times. But I will say that the way that I've responded was making sure that I don't allow those failures to keep me face flat on the ground, and picking myself back up and moving on to the next one. Because at the end of the day, failure is where you learn and where you grow and where you expand into the next version of yourself or the next level of yourself. So if you're not failing, then I personally believe that if all you're doing is just succeed, that's going to, say that 5 times
succeed,
fast.
Succeed. Oh. We almost said something we shouldn't say.
Succeed. Okay. So, anywho, move on from that one. So, I would say that too much success could easily flatline you. And I've definitely have felt that before, of just, you haven't hit a failure in a while and just everything's like stacking up beautifully. You're just, oh, wow, this house of cards is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden this tiny little gust of wind comes and just everything comes crashing down. Or you throw a big ice block into someone's toilet and think that that's funny. And then you see this beautiful Lego structure, this house that you built, just like over multiple weeks of showing up at your buddy's place, and he's got this big tub of Legos and you've been building this crazy thing. And then they send you a Snapchat of them just taking the Lego structure and just demolishing it.
Oh man, dude, that sounds like a really traumatizing experience. I guess you should learn your lesson and not put huge ice blocks into people's toilets.
We're talking an ice block the size of at least 24-inch by 12-inch.
It was the size of a cooler. Yeah,
it was the size of a cooler.
This is in theory, obviously. This never happened. So
No.
theory, if you had a cooler and there was water at the bottom and it sat outside and froze, and then per se somebody were to take ice block out and put in your toilet, how would that make you feel?
I feel like it would potentially cold. I feel like it would potentially overflow my toilet.
Yeah, nowadays you might try to jump in the toilet and take an ice bath. Knowing you, like, yo, can I fit in that toilet?
I'm gonna dunk my face in this.
That much ice is like $20 down the street.
That is true.
So no, definitely way too high of standards set for myself multiple times. I mean, one of the examples that I could throw out there was streaming and just thinking like, oh, I'm doing this super cool thing, like I'm riding a bike, while playing video games, like this is a challenge, like, oh, this should all go so well. And then you're 2 years into it and your YouTube hasn't grown past 120 subscribers and you're not releasing the videos that you did and you keep falling off from, editing something new and you're just like, fudge. And that's definitely something that I experienced without a doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough, especially when you want to grow, but you find failure in the way, especially early on. And I think that has been a determining factor for me as far as growth would go. As far as setting a higher standard for myself, I think recently I talked to you and it was funny about trying to break out of the idea of Groundhog's Day occurring in my life, which is this idea of just, and we talked about it in a previous episode on loops of just coming in and just feeling the same way every day, doing the same things, not doing much to change it. And my girlfriend actually brought something up funny this past week of not trying to be happy or doing things that make you happy, but removing the things that make you unhappy. I'm like, okay, cool. That's a good way to look at it. So I think as I try to become more disciplined or set a goal for myself, I was like, okay, cool. I want to do like 222 days of me trying to live the life that I want. Even if I might slip up or whatever, just a consistent effort of that much time to try to remove the bad things and do the good things. And like that looks like for me exercising or eating better or reading or setting intentional time for the podcast or myself or whatever it might be. And yeah, it sucks because you look at it like, okay, that's not hard. I can do that. And then like day 2, you completely forget everything.
Day 2 of the 222
day challenge. Yeah. 48 hours in, just falls straight down on your face. And that stinks because then you could sit there and think, okay, I'm just a victim to my old self. I'm never going to be able to transform or change. And I think a lot of it, when it comes down to accountability, I think I've mentioned this recently too to you, and just in the back of my mind, thinking that I've built this place of peace and comfort. I haven't had that in my life in the past, and I want to continue to like, oh man, I work so hard to find peace in my life that once I taste it, I don't want to give that up. I'm cool. Like I finally got this little oasis that I live in. I'm just chilling over here. Don't bother me. I waited 32 years for this, and unfortunately for me, that is, for lack of a better term, kind of bitch mentality. It is. Like, I'm never going to go anywhere with that mentality. Like, I got to where I am right now, which is great, but I just think moving forward, if I want to continue to grow into the person I want to be, I'm going to have to hold myself internally accountable and continue to push myself even with the failures. And, what I've realized with the failures, too, which is nice, is that when I fail, it's not a life or death situation. No one dies when I don't exercise on a certain day. It's okay. And what that opens up for me is not only the idea of, my failures not being earth shattering, but like my, areas where I can succeed probably aren't incredibly earth shattering either. Like they're just as attainable as the failures are. So if I hold that mentality and know that I can succeed just as easy as I can fail, then that takes a lot of weight off my shoulders too.
Do you find it hard, like in terms of setting a standard for yourself? I've come so many times where I'm going like, I'm going to do this, 30 days. This is what I'm going to do. But I'll start this next week at the beginning of next month so that I can track it on the same calendar of it just being,
it's not
May
the perfect date. I'm not.
Yeah.
No, I got to have the perfect setup to hold myself accountable. I got to be like the sun has to be at the right. And is it a full moon tomorrow? So I can look at the full moon and think, oh man, I'm really fucking doing a great job holding myself. I need everything right. I need everything set up in front of me. And yes, I do agree that there have been times where I go, okay, I'm going to start doing this little challenge for myself, but I'll do it next Tuesday because that's the start of the month. And that's just, and then you construct yourself the time, and good luck trying to get out of that because you're just making up excuses at that point.
And I think the hard thing too is when you're trying to be accountable to becoming this version of you that you see at the top of this next mountain. Have you ever climbed a mountain and experienced going back and forth on the switchbacks? And it being something where you might not be climbing very far, but on those switchbacks, you finally get that opportunity to take a look at the view. and see where you've actually come from versus just climbing straight up, and you're just honestly scaling a mountain to where you got to be pretty cautious of your next step, your next movement. What am I grabbing onto? What's right in front of me? Oh, is that slate kind of loose? Versus having that opportunity to kind of go back and forth, that piece that you talk about. When do I give myself an opportunity to finally sit and truly experience the life that I've built if I'm now worrying about the next stepping stone that I'm getting to, the next peak of the mountain, the next crossover? I was thinking about that recently this week, taking these notes and going, well, fuck, dude. At some point in time, you got to enjoy what part of the mountain you got up to. And if you get all the way to the top of the mountain, doesn't that mean just like your entire mission of life is over? And do you get to just sit there for the next 50 years and, oh, I'm 50 years old, I've hit the peak of my mountain and now I'm just going to sit up here? Or is it a full decline from that point on? Like,
yeah, it becomes the journey versus destination conversation that we've had in the past too.
Yeah.
If you're just so focused on the destination, you'll never sit around and enjoy the experience. You'll never understand the lessons you can learn from the experience. And I think it's really cool to bring up the mountain because there are the switchbacks, and you've done a lot better of a job you're thinking of Colorado of climbing mountains than I would. But what stuck out to me was that was the first time I ever done something like that. In how many instances like you think, okay, I'm going to climb up a mountain. I'm just going to walk straight up. That's not how you climb a mountain at all. Even if the trails weren't built for the switchbacks, like that isn't how you're supposed to approach that massive goal. You're supposed to take it slow, work your way up, take some time to take a break, look around. Okay, how am I going to approach the next step of this journey I'm on, whatever it might be, actually climbing a mountain or something different. And it's cool to see that it's supposed to be slow and intentional and not a straight shot. You're supposed to go left and right and up and down and maybe sometimes down before you go back up again.
And hit your oxygen tank real quick, too.
Yeah, dude, I was hitting the shit out of that. Could you put oxygen in a bong, please?
Crazy part about the mountain fortune cookie I read recently, Trisha's fortune cookie, and I'm super jealous. The road to success is always under construction. I was like, damn.
Yeah.
And then we actually got our true fortune cookie. The next one was the only real fortune cookie. It said, we both had our fortune cookie, and then Trisha and I both had them, blah, blah, blah. Oh, this is cool. And then we're like, should we eat the next one? We're like, oh, we'll save it. And then 1 minute later, I'm like, no, let's eat it. So then the fortune said, patience is the hardest of virtues. And I'm like, oh, it literally foretold the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Doa actually taught me a new way we approach our Chinese takeout is that apparently her tradition growing up was around dinner, she would read everyone's fortune out loud. So now I am a part of that. Every time we get the fortune cookies, I just hand it to her and she reads me my fortune.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a cool tradition.
Yeah, I hate that though because she'll go, "Oh, this is really good for you," and I go, "Fucking, of course it's really good for me." Of course, yeah, yeah. Every fortune in a cookie is always going to pertain to my life.
Do you guys pick your own fortune cookies, or is it you have to pick the fortune cookie for the other person?
No, I usually just I don't even
Just
think
whatever you get.
Yeah, I don't even think too much about it. I also am like an ogre when it comes to it. I don't even just break the cookie. I take it in the pack and
I love that.
smash it, and just eat the little pieces.
Do you dump it or do you pick them
Yeah,
out?
I'll open it up and just,
Yep.
you know, one of those.
You gotta eat the fortune for it to come true.
Yeah. Actually, what I do is I eat the fortune, and then 2 days later, when I shit it out, I pull it back out and hand it to my girlfriend.
That's bold.
She reads it?
Yeah, she reads it.
Oh, this is good for you.
Yeah, patience.
All good things come slow.
Yeah.
I also experienced the craziness with high standards. Kind of punished myself in a way. I've definitely been on both sides of not as hard on myself when it comes to my standards, but then also way too hard on myself. And a lesson I had to learn the hard way, you guys are familiar with this, but our audience isn't, is outpatient. Working with outpatient clients, you're going to come across some heartache. So like psychology majors out there, you're going to encounter heartache and heartbreak. But I could think of some instances with my clients when I was like, oh yeah, I just need to dig deep. You know, every client I can fix, you know, it's just a matter of the right tools. And that is a helpful mentality. But like, you're going to beat yourself up along the way. And, you know, I've had certain clients they come across and I would be like, oh, yeah, I'm just going to push and they'll get better. And, you know, I just got to have all these different gears spinning that'll tell me this is what happened with them from age 12 to 18. This is their outlook on the world. These are their attitudes, beliefs, interpretations. We just got to tweak and dial everything. Some people it doesn't work with. Like, that's the model and that's how you work, or at least that's the style I approach. You take someone's diagnosis, but then you dig deeper, try to understand what do all their gears under the hood look like, and then go, oh, hey, this gear has broken teeth. I got to help them fix that. And then you go, hey, man, you know, you got broken teeth on this one gear. And they go, I like those broken teeth. And it's like, okay, but like, you know, that's why you can't afford to like pay for your child's like diapers and, you know, clothes and stuff, because you got this system that's out of place. You just got to work on it. And some people, you'll get really far and then you'll get them built up and they do something absolutely crazy. And the day after Christmas, your crisis team's like, hey, I saw your boy. And I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, yeah, I saw your boy day after Christmas. And I was like, which one? No, not him. What did he do? Oh, well, he did this. And for HIPAA, I'm not going to say what he did, but I'm like, him? Like, he's like one of my star clients. And I get on the phone and I'm like, so what happened over the weekend? What went down? Blah, blah, blah. You know, never saw the guy again after that. We scheduled, never saw him again. And that's not even the only time that's happened. But like, you set up these high standards and then all of a sudden you like come across disappointment. But I think one of the ways I responded to it is like, hey, you got to like go through your, this is something we'll come across later, the internal accountability, but you got to see your values, see where you're meeting them. For me, the answer was, hey man, I don't think you're built for this. Like, this is great. I'm glad you checked off all your boxes. You got your bachelor's, got your master's. You went into the field, you tried it, you learned, hey, I just wanted those skills. You have those skills now. You can go do something else with those.
Yeah.
So
That's hard though. Coming to that realization when you set such a high standard for yourself and that internal accountability is pumping. And then all of a sudden you utilize that, I don't know, I would say the external accountability of now I have to actually share that with other people and create those structures in a group setting or in a job setting. And now it's like, I'm kind of feeling a little icky about this.
Yeah. It gets really hard to recognize when you might be going down the wrong road. And like, whenever we approach the internal accountability, I think that's something that's kind of blurry and a little bit of a blind spot for me, to be honest.
Yeah, so as far as internal and external accountability go on this next one, and how do they, how do those forces show up in your life? For quick reference, the internal accountability is all the things that you build for yourself, the systems that you build, the values, the morals, the ethics that you have for just you. And then external accountability would be being in some type of setting, whether it's a group or not, and feeling those pressures of having to be at the level of standards of that group, the family, friends, work, all of those forces coming down on you and feeling like either you're enough or not enough, or just, can I do this type of mentality that you were just talking about in terms of, man, is this imposter syndrome? Is this, no, I was built for this. I set the standards. I have my own internal accountability. Now, how do I share that with a different setting? And for me, I would say that I'm a lot more on the internal accountability of being able to build those things for myself, with having way too high of a standard for what I want out of my life or what I want to become or the things that I want to accomplish. But I will say that external accountability has really laid into me of just the not feeling enough. Like, oh, I want to be a better cyclist, or I want to race in gravel races, and thinking, well, look at my Strava times and then look at other people's Strava times, or look at my, how long can I keep 20 mile an hour average? Oh shit, these guys are doing it for 8 hours over. Oh, this is insane. Like, how do I hold myself to that? Or looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking like, I want to be that type of entrepreneur. Now, can I fire somebody? Do I actually have that ability to be able to, like, I've been someone who's focused so much on bringing people with me and feeling like I can bring everybody with me. There's no doubt about it. And then that just plays such a weird role into like, well, can you fire somebody from your life? Can you set those boundaries? Can you set those,
I just keep imagining like the Vince McMahon WWE. You're fired. I don't know if you're capable of that, dog. I think there is a part of you that is, but
yeah,
it kind of for you. I think it battles against who you are. I feel like you're such a people person. You're I look at you as someone who is empowering to other people, not only through your own actions, but you feel that you can find the best in people and help them get to that. And for you to be able to say, like, I see the best in people, I want to help them achieve that, but also have to cut ties with a person who might not be living to the standards that they could live to is tough.
Yeah, I've been heavily listening and reading the Rich Dad Poor Dad series right now, and
that guy gotta look to him. I like this book. These covers are sick.
And he's talking about, at one point in time he was talking about having to, and the other book that I started was Good to Great by Jim Collins, and just looking at the hierarchy of managers. And that all of these companies, these 11 companies that they ended up, putting in the category of great companies, not good, they had a level 5 manager. And that level 5 manager was all about doing what was best for the organization, but also like they were someone who does not, like, it's not, oh, our podcast views have dropped. Well, Derick was the one who handled the clips this week. Well, I mean, it's all Derick's fault, And it
no one's ever thought that.
No, I definitely haven't. But I'm just using an example, and
no one's ever thinking, oh, we got 600 views when Zack posted it, now 300 went. What happened? I don't know. Was it Derick's computer? Was it his IP address? What could it be?
What I'm trying to say is, it's not about the pointing fingers of, well, it's about pointing the fingers back at yourself. And that's where the internal accountability for me comes back in to this conversation is, what could I have done to assist that situation? What could I have done? Not, it was that person's fault. It's a we mentality. It's a team mentality over an I or an accusation or like an accusing type of mentality.
Yeah.
And that's what sets, and I don't know if I have experienced a level 5 manager in any of the jobs that I've ever really had. I'll be bold and say I have not.
What's a level 5?
So level 5 is like the top peak of, they are someone who, it's not about themselves. It's not about the validation that they're going to get. It's all about the mission that is being built. So for instance, someone you might experience in your job would be more focused on how they get to the next level rather than how well the team does overall.
Yeah. Okay.
And they don't care if it's not a they don't care, but it's more of a group persona rather than the, what am I going to get out of this? No, we have a mission to sell more tickets. We have a mission to help more people. We have a mission to do our projects better, to get more projects, to be more accountable to our actual customers. How do we do that as a group rather than, I want the validation that I was the one who brought us to that next level. I was the one who got us to our mission. I was the one who got us to that final destination.
Yeah, that's frustrating because in my chair, I'd go, well, if you would just spend more time with me, I'd make you look good. Just let me make you look good.
Yeah.
I'm capable of doing so. And if you would just focus on my efforts, your job is to manage me. And if I'm firing at all cylinders, it'll just reflect on you as opposed to you having to get the validation. If you're more focused on your own validation, chances are you're not spending enough time with me. And in turn, I'm probably not going to meet expectations you set for me. And then all of a sudden, you're worse off than you could have been if you had just focused your efforts on me as opposed to what's going to make you look good.
So is that the internal or is that the external accountability that you've experienced in the negative and positive way that we were talking about it the other day?
Yeah, I mean, for me, in the past, I was trying to think through this, and I think the external accountability is probably the king of my past self. For sure, being able to put myself in situations where I know I have to answer to other people to accomplish the goals. And as I reflected on that, it became tough because then I realized that I was at the whim of goals that other people set for me and not for the goals I set for myself, which becomes tough because then you're disaligning with whatever you find important in your life. And it takes you a little bit to kind of readjust. So for me, and not that I don't think external accountability can be used for me in where I want to go in the future. I think you just have to pick the pockets and where internal accountability could benefit you and external accountability could benefit you. So I think with internal accountability moving forward, for me, it would be in situations where I want to better myself and my character or like identity shift. So those are things that I think as I pivot, internal accountability is going to be where I need to focus most. And that looks like, spots where I want to be creative or whatever. If I want to pick up a guitar and play music, no one's going to force me to do that. Or if I want to, work on myself and wake up every morning and go for a run, at least before the podcast or before work a few days a week or whatever it might be, no one's going to make me do that. I wish there was. I wish someone was yelling at me or, when I was a rower in high school and I had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I had to be there because my coach would call me and wake me up if I wasn't.
Yeah.
And there was a system built. And what I realized too is unfortunately, and you mentioned this already, was systems. I like having external accountability in my life because I think that it's just built as a system in general. Where I struggle on the internal side is building out those systems for me. And you've had those really great breakdown sheets of how you approach your day or week or month or whatever it is. And I've tried to do that for myself. And I'm more of a go with the flow kind of guy. Like even at my current job, we have systems built for internal accountability, like how you're going to reach so many calls or sales or being in front of people. And a lot of people at my job will have something as simple as follow-ups. They go into our database. I called Brandon on Wednesday, set the follow-up for Friday so I can just go in. I have a system built, says today's follow-ups. I go in, I'm calling 40 people, ready to go, all good. Me, I just go in, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to call these people today. And that's cool, but that's not really goal-oriented. That's kind of just go with the flow. And there's some benefit to it, and I know my way around it, but I think I'm making it harder on myself for the internal accountability side of just saying, if I want to go and work out 3 times this week, and I just say that on Sunday, what am I actually doing to get that goal accomplished? So I'm not turning around by Friday and saying, I worked out once, now I'm going to work out today and tomorrow, whatever. Like if I sat down today and just said, okay, Tuesday is the bike ride, Thursday I'm going to the gym, and Saturday I'm getting a hike in or whatever. Cool. I've already planned it out, ready to go. And I think that's where I'll benefit moving forward is building out those systems. One thing that I found interesting was the term obligor, or like there's like this built-in term that I just came across from someone's book, Gretchen Rubin. I have no clue who that person is. But what I did like about what they mentioned was I've always found it easy to meet outside demands, but let myself down in turn. So if someone expects a goal out of me, I'll go out and crush it. No problem. I have to answer to this. But if I set a goal for myself, I'm so much easier on failing just because I've built this idea that it's okay to let myself down. And that becomes a tough pill to swallow, especially as you try to pivot away from that.
Well, that's where for me, I was building all these, like I was building a Notion tracker and all these different things to like turn my life into a video game. And then I sat there and went, I don't really want to upload all this shit into the internet, arguably, and have it to where like anybody could access this, arguably, and take all this and utilize it against me. And that was just a crazy thought, honestly, of just why are you going down this road of thinking that someone gives a flying rat's ass to find your Notion tracker and utilize it against you? But then I honestly I wanted it to be as simple as possible of just, I got 2 sheets. That's what I do for the day. And now I have this huge binder that you can see in Titty's angle, that I drop each of those sheets in now, and I want it to just be where I just have these binders that I'm able to go back on now and think like, oh, at 33 years old, you really locked in. Okay, there was times when you got little journals all over the place, and you started out in this notebook and you wrote a couple different journal pages and whatnot, and you had some different daily trackers and whatnot. Nah, you started this. Now you got binders on it, because the one thing we were talking about last time was the awareness was being able to go back and look at those things and take that stock. And you were talking about reading like old journal entries and stuff. And I've done that before, like in bed, like, and sitting there and next to Haas, and I'm reading some of my journal entries to her. And she was just like, oh, that's so sweet. Or like, that's so cool. Like, I actually want to make sure that like I do that. I want to build some type of system to like have this stuff to look back on and be able to not have to remember everything that happened in your life. Because we're so bombarded by things constantly that trying to remember that you brushed your teeth this morning is sometimes one of the most challenging things. Like,
That's a little grimy.
it feels clean, but was that just because I drank a good amount of water just a moment ago? You know?
Well, there's the seeds from the smoothie.
yeah, there's the seeds from the smoothie.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting too was thinking about the internal and external accountability is when you're trying to find that balance. The internal accountability can be tough too, because you mentioned the creating barriers or whatever. If you're on this path of trying to become a different person, you have to set up this system where we've talked about too early on in the podcast was probably back in the days where I'd be out till 2 a.m. on a Saturday and try to record a podcast at 10 a.m. on a Sunday. Was you're eventually going to have to sacrifice things to get where you want to go. And the internal accountability is being okay with setting those barriers and saying no in the hopes of achieving the goal you're looking forward to. So that in turn is tough for me too, because that turns into what we'll get to later is the people pleasing aspect of, oh, you know, I can do that. Or you become old double booked dairy like me, like, oh yeah, I can do a bike ride. Sure, I can do that. But also I know that I told my girlfriend I'd be home to make dinner at 7 o'clock and I can do both. We'll be fine. And then my bike isn't ready. We hit some traffic. It's 7:30. Dinner's not ready, blah, blah, blah. And it stinks because you want to make sure you're building up a system that you can hold yourself accountable to. But you know, in reality, if I want to make my girlfriend a happier person, you know, just by being present in a whatever relationship, or I want to make my boss happy by him setting goals for me and me achieving them, chances are that I need to hold myself, even those are external accountability pieces, I have to hold myself internally accountable to things that will build me up to be able to take those on. Because what happens is if I want to be ready for work, I need to come with the right mindset. Hey, you know, I've been doing things for myself. I got a good workout in. I read last night. I got a good night's sleep. I'm really excited about this trip I'm going on. I'm doing these things for myself. Then I can come into work and be ready to crush. Or if I want to show up for my girlfriend and make sure I'm present and aware, like I have to take time for myself first and make sure I'm focusing on me. That way I can meet those expectations, because what happens after the fact would be probably burnout. Like, fuck this. I don't want to do this. I'm sick of doing things for other people. I want to do things for me. But if you build the system internally up first, I think it allows for better expectations for external accountability.
Is that where you're changing the program from, 30 on to it?
Yeah, it's funny. You're literally taking the words right out of my mouth. Is in my 30s, you said systems. And when you're saying systems, I'm thinking programming. Literally, I'll take responsibility and accountability for exactly who I am to this day. But I will also say that our world, we'll just use Pittsburgh as an example, it's a wonderful city. But our education system, it's set up here and probably every other city in the United States so that we are going to be good rule-following soldiers and that we're not going to upset the herd. We're going to come in. And today in high school, you're gonna have your shirt tucked in.
Hair can't touch the collar.
Yeah, you have to have a clean shave. Granted, all I could do is grow a mustache at 14, so not a problem. But yeah, so we go through all these things, and our systems are all external accountability. And like even your parents, when they're sending you to school, I have wonderful parents, but they also understand the mission of school. And it's as if there's not a bunch of huge mentors that are going to come in and say, hey, here's how you become internally accountable. And here's how you use, I'll use another word, intrinsic motivation, so that you take all of the good things that you want to accomplish and they all come from inside. We tend to come into jobs and all of these things, all these accolades, they're all dependent on you showing up and going and doing other things like eat the frog, but you're eating someone else's frog. You're not eating your own frogs. You're coming in, okay, you do want to wake up at 5 in the morning? No, I don't wake up at 5 in the morning. Well, too bad. You got school at 8 o'clock, so you got to be here at, we'll say, either 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. You got to show up and be a part of these things. And eventually you'll learn to like them, but like no kid wants to get out of bed at 5 years old and then go show up while they're groggy and then go, oh, I'm going to learn how to count. I'm going to learn how to do math. All of those things, there's not a great way to instigate kids 100% of the time and young adults to say, hey, here are things that you're going to be doing for you. It's mostly you can build yourself up, climb the ladder, whether that's education or corporate ladder, to get to a point where you may be able to start making your own decisions.
Yeah.
And it's crappy. It's just the way the world's set up. But like, as I approach 30s, I'm like, well, it doesn't have to be. You could totally set your own standards, your own rules. Now we're kind of victim to it. I'd say probably age 25, 26, whenever you come across and go, you know what? No, it doesn't have to be that way. I can totally set my own rules. Granted, you can't go out and just like, run through traffic lights, but I can set my own shit. And like, we don't have to be a part of this system where it tells us, here's what you need to value. You can make your own choice in saying, I can value what I choose to value.
Yeah.
Whether that's family, that's fitness, spiritual sides of you get to make those choices. So it's a catch-22 because there's a lot of kids, they're not ready for that sense of freedom. And that's how you end up with like the Disney stars where they're just like, here, grind. And then they're like, as soon as they get freedom, party.
You're right.
So-
Yeah. The internal accountability is weird too, because I feel like that's more long-term consequences, where the external accountability is more short-term consequences. Like if I don't show up to work at 9 o'clock, I'm getting a text by 9:10. Where are you? If I don't work out for the next 3 years, I'm gonna be a fat piece of shit. I might not realize it right now, but I feel like the internal consequences you deal with are probably going to affect you more in the long run and be more detrimental to your journey or just you as a human being, where the external focus is. That's where I've responded so quickly, is like, well, I know there's an immediate consequence for me not following through with these actions. And that's what makes it tough. But I also think, and that's why I thought external accountability was a dirty word though, because I'm not holding myself accountable to my journey. I'm just holding it accountable to what I agreed upon, what my agreed upon journey is, and having someone else hold me accountable to that, which can be dirty, but I do think there's room for the right mentor or coach or friend or someone like that where, if I'm in a boxing match, and I was watching fights last night, you can sit there and have this will and desire to win, but you might not know exactly what to do or say at the right moment, but that's why you have the perfect coach who recognizes you and they know how to, push the right button to make you tick or get you to do something at the right time. And that's where I think external focus or external motivators in general could be something that actually is positive. You just have to pick the right pockets to when you want to focus on one or the other.
Well, I can tell you from my personal experience, that's why so many nights I went to bed in front of the TV setting the, I know I'm starting to get tired, so I'm going to set it for an hour timer and it's going to shut off. Instead of going up to my bed and laying down, closing my eyes, and now facing myself with where are you keeping yourself accountable to the things that you wanted to do?
Yeah.
These crazy high standards that you have of yourself. Now you have to take some awareness of where you're actually at and sit in the moment and think, well, what could I have done today differently? Or versus I'm just going to totally just keep myself out of my mind, and I'm gonna watch this TV
Yeah,
show
can I watch
until
15 episodes of King of the Hill? Or if I sit here for 5 minutes in silence, I'll recognize that, yeah, dude, you said you're going to do the dishes 2 days in a row. It's probably time to do the dishes.
That didn't happen to me.
fold the laundry on top of the.
Boom, on top of the dryer. Oh, yikes. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that would, for me, transition over into the genuine people pleasing, or is it just guilt driven? And I will say that this one was one for me that is such a turmoil situation because I have this desire and want or need or whatever psychological just terribleness, let's put it that way.
Psychological terrorism.
Yes,
Damn.
yes. Against myself of like, I got to be there for people. Like, why not be there for people? Like, if I have the ability, then I should. And if I have the time, then I have to. And then you sit there and go, wait, I decided that I'm going to take into stock tonight and sleep in my bed, not on the couch. And I'm sitting there going, well, these were all the things I could have done. Why did I say yes to those? And then it goes, it's, the way I put it was, you turn regret into gratitude because you sit there and you start regretting. Like for myself personally, you go, man, I should have just told my dad no, or I should have just said, no, I'm not available for this to you know who, or blah, blah, blah. And I start regretting like, well, this is another day. You're going to have to wake up tomorrow and go to your job versus waking up tomorrow and working on your own business. And all this regret. And then you finally take just a mere second, and that spark happens, and it is just the heavens open up, and it is a light shines down, and it is just a beautiful moment. Yay, of just everything turns into gratitude. And you go, man, think about the fact of what if you weren't here and able to do those things? Where's the life that you're trying to build for you going to take you? Well, you want to travel the world. Oh, you want to go do all these things. Oh, you want to build a van out and literally be able to just drive around to all 50 states. And so are you always going to be here every single day in your hometown and able to actually be there for the people with just a quick phone call and they can say like, hey, is there any chance you can help me out today? Yeah, fuck yeah, sure, why not? Versus, man, I'm really going through some shit. And now you're 15 states away on the other side of, you're on the West Coast versus us being here on the East Coast. And it's not a 15-minute drive. It's not a, 20 minutes down the road. It's not a able to be there. Oh yeah. On my way home from work, I can totally stop by and I can totally put in the leaf in the table for you, Grandma. No, it's I could be there in like 5 days.
Yeah.
Or if I drive through the night, maybe I can be there, by Sunday. It's Tuesday or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that for me, I definitely have been a victim, and I think both of you guys might join me on that path of the people pleasing. But if I look at it as I'm doing all these things versus I have all this ability, kind of like we were talking on the last episode of desire, and versus a need versus I get to do, or I have to. It was I have to do this versus I get to do this.
Yeah.
And it changes all of the like perception of what you're actually going through, what you're getting to experience. And that gratitude just cranks up to 100, and you're standing in front of the speakers and it is a rock concert and you're just getting rock'em sock'em robot in a good way. At least for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me, the issue in the past was I would much rather prioritize others than myself. And that becomes pretty tough because you're letting yourself down. You're building up this over and over again, this system of just letting yourself down. And that becomes commonplace to, oh, my goals don't seem to matter, or they will matter and I'll get to it, but I'm going to prioritize someone else as opposed to my own needs. And that becomes a place where I feel like I burn out pretty quickly. I might not even aware it. Like, we only have so much bandwidth to offer. We can only be in so many places at once. And I mentioned just previously double book Terry, but it's so funny that was, I mean, I think I've gotten better. I can ask you two as people that are very close to me, but 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even, oh, I can do this, I can do that. But I have like other things to do. There's no Outlook calendar in life that when I try to book a meeting on top of a meeting, it tells me, oh, actually, you have something happening at this time. That doesn't happen in my head. I just go slam 6 things into one meeting, and I'll be there at all. And if I did that at work, people look at me like I have 6 heads. So why in life do I feel okay to say, hey, I plan on waking up early and doing this, but my little brother wants to come hang out, and I know that turns into a late night. So yeah, I'll just tell him yes. And there is part of me that goes, yeah, I do want to spend time with my family. I want to make sure I'm there for them. Like, that is important to me. But I feel like I do have to have a system built so that I don't just, let myself be sacrificed at the whim of other people's wants and needs too. Like, and then on that sense, like, there's a lot of the thought process where deep down inside pretty much immediately when you say yes to something, whether or not it's something you're excited about, and you just don't even think twice. Like, hey, do you want to come over, Derick? You can burn the cardboard over at Brandon's house. We're gonna have a fire. And I'm like, I was just gonna sit here anyway. I got all my stuff done. Yeah, absolutely. I'll be over at 7. Sounds good, Ted. Be there. No big deal. Compared to if someone hits me up Wednesday, you guys want to go get wings or something. Banjo night, right? Ryan texted me, let's go to banjo night, and I knew that I was supposed to get a workout in, and I told Zack, hey, like, I'll have those podcast clips ready to roll because we've been holding ourselves accountable, making sure we're getting something posted every day. And I know if I go to banjo night, then I'm not going to get the podcast clips. So I'm actually kind of tired, and I know if I just go there, like, it's not going to be fun for me. Probably not going to be fun for Ryan or whoever else comes because I'm mentally exhausted. And then you just have that gray cloud looming over that I say, yeah, I'll be there. And then you just continuously think about it. That's all I think about. When I say yes out of guilt, it just sits there and it stews in my mind of, oh, you shouldn't be doing this. There's something else you should be doing. You probably could be doing something else. And then you could even get to the point where even if you didn't have anything else to do, but you were just needed to prioritize yourself and rest, I show up and I'm like half-assing it. And then at that point, the most honest thing you could do is just tell that person that and hope that you build up enough trust and respect that it's okay that you didn't show up that time, as opposed to just saying yes all the time out of guilt, feeling shitty yourself, and then showing up and not being really present. And then that person wondering, what the hell did I do? I just want to hang out with you and have fun. And now you're just kind of, staring off in the distance, looking at your phone, not really talking and worrying about 3 other things at once.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that becomes tough. So I think like, for little bits of that, because then the yes turns into resentment. I eventually am going to be like, oh, you're always knocking me out of my rhythm. You're always doing this. Where if I would just take myself the time to check inventory or have a little bit more mindfulness of my situation, then I could turn around and say, no, this isn't serving me right now. I should probably prioritize this. Not to say that there isn't a time, not that I'm not grateful that I get the opportunity to do this, but it's not like, again, it's not earth-shattering to say no to going out and having a couple beers or something. It's not going to ruin anyone's life. And I think that's where I've struggled is I do feel like that sometimes, that it is earth-ending if I say no. What are they going to think of me? Is that person going to ever ask me to hang out again? Am I going to be able to be there for them in the future? And I think that's where my lack of systems in the past have screwed me over, because if I just go with the flow all the time, then I'm not sure if I might be wandering, but maybe not for the right reasons.
Yeah, I think the shutting the bar down till 2 a.m. when you have things the next morning versus the, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to be home by 10 o'clock is a huge different mentality.
Yeah.
I think that's where mine was like do they fit into the things that people are asking out of you? Do they actually fit into your schedule / what's going to ultimately mess you up for tomorrow?
Yeah, and that's and
like
well, and as you get older though, like I know it's one example of many, but as you get older too, I realize like that shit affects me more than it ever has. When I do go out, and drinking's one thing, but if I do go out and drink in the evening, like I do have to shut it off at a certain time to make sure I'm okay the next day and drink water and go back. Back when I was 25, it was cool. I would be out to 2 a.m., wake up at 8 o'clock, I'm at the office, I'm ready to go, no big deal. But that can be suited into so many other instances of, hey, I said I was going to go to the movie, but I knew that I had to do the podcast clips, or I was going to go see my family. I know I should see my family, but not at the not at the point where I have to sacrifice other things that I know I set as a priority for me. So I think building up those barriers and systems and not being the person that has to say no all the time, like you shouldn't say no all the time to those instances, but understanding when you've put in a good week's work or you've done all the things you need to do and you prioritize that checklist first, then it gives you the freedom to do it. And it's a lot more enjoyable to say yes to those things as opposed to feeling guilty about it and having to go back to the goals you set yourself up for after the fact, which becomes a pain in the ass in its own right.
Yeah. Well, I think about the example that I was just saying of the staying to the bar till 2 a.m. Well, what time does that person get up the next morning? I get up at 5 a.m. to get ready to go to work, to be in the office by 7.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't get up till 8 to be at, work by 9. That's a huge difference. That's 3 hours more of sleep and rest and recovery that you're going to get versus me. Do you take into any consideration that I'm just doing this out of I feel bad for you rather than I want to be there for you? And that I've definitely come down to that as a people pleaser is like hold up, why am I feeling like bad for this person if they're not taking into any consideration that how this might affect me? Are they feeling bad for me that they're going to, do I get a text message the next day? And this isn't something that I've directly experienced, but do I get a text message the next day that says, man, I understand that you get up early. I'm just using a hypothetical. I understand that you get up early. I really want to tell you how much I appreciate you, like staying at the bar with me till 2 a.m. Like I'm now sleeping, and I slept until noon today because I didn't work, but you had to be at the office at 9, and that's huge, man. Like I really appreciate like what you did for me or were there for me. Yeah. So them having the gratitude of you being there for them, I think that's what ends up like that rain cloud for me can sit over top of me for like days to come when it doesn't feel like what I did or the sacrifice that I made was appreciated.
Yeah. Yeah, that becomes really tough too, because then you overextended yourself. You set your own journey aside for somebody else, and they really didn't think twice about it either. They just, it might have been for their own fulfillment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a bummer.
People, what do you got?
I don't know. Let's take a vote. Who thinks that they're the number one people pleaser in this group?
I'm gonna
currently
say no. Yeah. It's you.
I was gonna say I don't know what you guys think, but I'm
a year ago maybe I was at my peak so much worse than you, but I think that right now it might be you.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I definitely would give myself that unwanted trophy.
Hey, I know you're good at pleasing people, man.
Yeah, I'm quite a pleaser.
Yeah. Honestly, people
lots of pleasure.
They keep coming back for more.
You pleased me in the morning whenever I came in to wake you up. I do you remember whenever I woke him up and I was like
context clue.
I was like context clues.
Actually,
Tit's married and having a kid. Context clues are out the window.
Leave all context out. Just give me the baseline here. So you crawled into bed.
I walk into Titty's sleeping and I just tickled him on the face and I was like, Tit, breakfast is ready. And he just turns around and just tries to like bear hug me as I'm just like standing there. And he's like, oh, yeah? Okay, I'll be down in a minute. And I swear he was about to say, swear he was about to say Trisha after that. But he just came right in for like the bear hug. Like that's just him. He's just a.
Come here, my little spoon.
I'm the little spoon. I don't know if you guys talk about. There's a few points that I'm like, damn, that was solid. So I took down a few things from my own personal notes of that self-psychological terrorism.
Oh, man, that was a bold one.
And then
I loved it.
I jumped into, so like, obviously we're including this for the episode, but this is for me too. And then there's also, you have, whenever you mentioned something along gratitude, I think you might have been saying like beating yourself up and then going into gratitude. And doing those things, I feel like coming around, that's the way to honor yourself. So you're giving yourself that self-honor. Oh, regret.
Yeah, regret to gratitude.
Regret, when you're combating regret with gratitude, then you're honoring yourself.
Yeah.
And at the same time, what you need to be doing is trying to declutter your cognitive dissonance. So, like all of these things, we've said a million times. So, if you haven't heard it, get back on watching Dismount. But we've talked about cognitive dissonance, and the values that you do and the behaviors that you do are two different things. And then that's frustrating. That leaves a lot of psychological terrorism or turmoil left in your brain. So, that brings me to my next point. You come across your social consequences. So your social consequences might be like, oh man, they're gonna think I'm a bad friend. You know, carpe diem. We're only Derick and I are like ultimate like carpe diem. Like, hey, you know, well, I can't speak for Derick.
I'm the same way. See, that's where it becomes an issue for me still. Yeah.
Derick, if I say one word for Deado, he will know.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah. Just hit me up at 6 o'clock on a Tuesday.
One beer.
Let's go to one beer. One beer. We're like, hey, what's one beer going to do? Except for the fact maybe we want maybe 3 more beers.
One beer. That one beer is worth like, it's a tall IPA. It's worth about like 3 beers worth. And then with 3 beers of that later. And then I'm like, hey, Trisha, you think you can come pick me up? It totally happened. And then I think we went from there over to the YMR. And then we kept drinking. Had some Guinnesses. Then that one beer probably turned into about 7. Maybe that's very generous to say we only stopped at 7.
Yeah, Anna left the front door open.
Yeah, yeah, that was a hell of a time. But I think one of the ways to ground yourself to get back to that is, you know, I have my mission statement. I have it like vaguely memorized, but like, you know, the way to get yourself grounded to those things. I feel like a lot of times we need a reason to say no. And it's funny enough, I haven't had the internal accountability to ever finish my book, How to Say No Without Feeling Guilty. I've had that book for like 5 years. It's crazy. I've had it since I was in Ohio. But have I read it? I've read about a chapter.
Yeah.
And it's very helpful what I've read, but I don't remember any of that. So I think one of the things to help with the internal accountability and the people pleasing is to just have your mission statement, to try to honor yourself, declutter those cognitive dissonance things. But when we say like crossing the line between being a people pleaser and accountability, I think the distinction is the internal accountability versus the people pleaser. You guys touched on, I think you mentioned earlier, the people pleaser is that externally motivated, externally accountable person that they're just like, all right, I need to respond to consequences. And aside from our social programming, that is an internal program. You could do it with dogs. Dogs, they understand and recognize consequences, and they learn and respond. So, like, we, in a sense, we're like dogs in that way. You know, we got to recognize and be like, hey, we are the master and the slave. Not to, like, put it in, like, crazy terms, but we are. We're either running our own show inside or we're running a slave to our external world. And I think that's one of the things that I fall into the trap of is I just want to make sure the mission and everything is accomplished. And at work, I ran like a dog like all day yesterday, and it was like 91 degrees out, and I'm running like a crazy person. And when we talk about like standards, the rest of my team doesn't have the standard that I have. The rest of them, they're like, okay, I'm going to show up and I'm going to try to do this job. But then I got people, they're just like on their phones and not paying attention to shit. And I'm like, I can't get into specifics as to what they did, but I'm like, man, pay the fuck attention. Like you got to like be aware. But then I'm like, you're keeping them externally accountable. Do they really even care? I'm like, no, they don't care. They just want the money.
Yeah.
So I think that's my gripe with the world is we're all very motivated to climb the ladder, get the money, and then we forget about ourselves. And like you talked about with like working out and whatnot, I'm like, man, it's so easy to just fall off. It's super easy. So I would say that for me, I need to try to get better about like, hey, you could just say like, hey, I need to recharge my honor batteries. I don't feel that I'm honoring myself. And I think that's a good way for anyone listening to be like, yeah, I think something's fucked up and I'm not going to interfere with that person's growth. Like, I think that's a great way to just put a little bit of wedge and leverage for people to respect your boundaries and say, hey, I'm not honoring myself and I don't want to take myself down a dark road. I think I need to just like carry through with these steps. But I do want to see you. I really want to catch up with you. Let's talk in like a week. I really got to check these things off because I don't want myself to go down the rabbit hole of, even if you mentioned the buzzword, like people pleasing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be a people pleaser. I just want to honor myself. Do you think we can like reschedule for another time? Like, I think that's huge.
I think something that you talked about
Mhm.
on one of our other episodes was as soon as you tell someone like, oh, this is for work,
Mhm.
oh, they're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
take care of your shit. But then you try to build that, and that would
Mhm.
be what leads us into the next one of what makes a great accountability partner would be those people in your life who you have the ability to say, I got to be accountable for myself right now.
Mhm.
I got to take some personal stock. I
Mhm.
need to check some of those things off my list.
Mhm.
And are you okay with that?
Mhm.
And then that's what then allows that other you, I think, gives you the opportunity to then turn around and go, well, is that person able to be accountable to me right now
Mhm.
when I'm just trying to be honest and open with them?
Mhm.
And that would be one of the, and now just that was brand new for me in terms of, what made a great accountability partner. Because originally my answer was going to be people that know your strengths and they know your
Mhm.
weaknesses, and they are able to build your weaknesses up or be there
Mhm.
for you when they see that, oh, his weaknesses are shining right now. He's not really good at darts.
Mhm.
He just got challenged at darts. I need to make sure that I bring a lot more heat when I'm throwing these darts. Arguably, that's a funny one, but
We might have darts for the baby shower.
oh, nice.
Oh,
Side note.
I love that.
And then someone who compliments you when your strengths are really shining.
Mhm.
Are they able to say, like, you're doing a damn good job. Holy shit. Keep freaking going. Versus that being something that then makes them feel self conscious, like,
Mhm.
man, I wish I was as good as that.
Mhm.
Versus, you fucking keep rocking, dog. Damn, keep
Yeah.
it going. Like, and I think that's something where that's in a team basis. And I think that's where that level 5 manager comes back into play. And that rain is insane outside right
Yeah.
now. Holy cow. But that level 5 manager or level 5 teammate to me is that person who it's not about me getting the accolade. It's not about me being the one who kicked the winning field goal. It's not me being the guy who took us to championships. I'm the one who hit the buzzer beater to take us to states. It's the guy who I am more concerned with making sure that we all go to states rather than being the guy who is the one who like the masses see as that Tommy was the one who hit the winning shot. Well, you know what? Tommy wouldn't have hit the damn winning shot if I wouldn't have crossed over 3 guys and got him the ball. If I wouldn't have been able to be the person who literally pulled half the team over to me and then threw it back to him, he wouldn't even have got that damn shot, So trying to find those people in your life who are that level 5 person who are more about the mission and more about the overall rather than the what trophies are on my shelf right now, what ribbons do I have around my neck. Oh, well, I did a half marathon. Have you done a half marathon before? No. And, oh, well, I got the little 13.1 or the 26.2,
Look at
magnet
me.
on the back of my car, blah, 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 blah. And that for me was what makes a great accountability partner and how do you choose the right people? They're the people who they complement your successes. They absolutely assist in your weaknesses and are the ones who don't give a flying rat's ass to have their name on top of that, on top of that trophy. It's more about the Stanley Cup. The pens are on the cup, not I got the art trophy.
Yeah, the guy who scores the goal.
Or the
and
heart trophy.
The guy who shows the goal and shows the logo and not point to his name on the back.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a great way to put it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I play for the team. I don't play for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's really important. I think as far as an accountability partner, I used you as an example because I think that's somewhere like I respect how internally accountable you are. So I just try to cling on to that as much. I'm just like grabbing on to like, we're on the bike ride. I'm grabbing onto your coattails. Like, just fucking drag me along, dude. I'll figure it out eventually. But like what I looked at, like in our friendship too, like there's like mutual respect. There's a vision, like you specifically, I think, and I think this is huge for people who want to find a good accountability partner, is that, and I mentioned this earlier, was that you see the best in people and you want them to experience that. And I think that's huge because I would want someone to see that I'm capable of reaching my goals before I can see it and then hold me accountable to that mission. So you think about bike trips, like going on our Ohio trip in April. If it were just me out there, bro, with the bike and everything, all the luggage loaded up, you know how many times I would have stopped? I mean, I probably would have never made it, you know? But having someone who is like a driving force that we were there for each other, I can't stop. It's going to make Zach's life a living hell. He'll have to ride 40 miles and rent a car, come pick me up. We're have to get a pickup truck, throw the bike in the... Holy shit, all these other tasks I'm creating for somebody else. But if I would just hold myself accountable to, we made this agreement, we're going to go after this goal together. And then there's a mutual understanding that, and I think the bike ride's one thing because there's a lot of intangibles that go into it. But for any goal in general, you have to understand that there is an agreement to be made with an accountability partner. Hey, we're going to work out 3 days a week. I'm going to show up. You know, we're going to do it together. We're going to go on this journey together. But I also think there has to be an understanding that you should be okay with leaving that person behind too. Like if they break the agreement that you were a part of and they're not showing you up and they're hindering your progress, then there should be no issue with leaving that person behind, in my opinion. But that's neither, you know, here or there. I think as far as a good accountability partner goes, like there's honesty there. There's a desire to see you grow, not just me. Like, yeah, I want to grow, but your growth means my growth as well, too. And I think that consistency, there's celebrating progress. Like for me, that's been tough you mentioned the journaling, of actually writing things down or understanding where I was to where I am now. That's huge for me as far as goal setting, and I don't take a lot of time doing that. But a good accountability partner, I think, will be like, hey, man, look, like talking about old episodes of the podcast. Hey, go look back to what we were doing 3 years ago to what we're doing now. And that stuff, having that right person that you make sure that you're showing up for just as much as they're showing up for you in your life, can take you so much further than you could just by yourself. And that's why it's important to pick the pockets in which, like, you need to be understanding of when it's the right time to be internally motivated as opposed to when it's the right time to let someone else in and help you achieve a goal.
How does that person, though, from your personal experience, keep you accountable, but also not push you away?
Yeah, I mean, I think you'd have to be pretty upfront with what your vision is in general. We'd have to have a shared vision. I think there's a bit of empathy I mentioned too, of like, okay, we might not be on the same playing field and we still want to achieve this goal. And I think that person has to understand that too, is like, if you and I are starting off with like lifting weights and you're doing 50s and I'm doing 30s or whatever, and you know, I'm kind of struggling to get things through and I'm a little frustrated and you've been doing this for a while. I think that's where that hard agreement comes in on, like, if we're going after a goal together, hey, like, I'm a little bit behind you are. The progress isn't quite there. I'm really excited to do this, but it's going to take me a little more getting up to speed than it would be for you. And as long as all of that is communicated up front, then there shouldn't be any issues of what the agreement is, compared to, hey, let's just go do this thing together and not take in consideration that we're two completely different human beings and we'll tick in completely different ways. We'll approach things in different ways. I think communicating that as much upfront as you possibly can and having that firm agreement and understanding of each other. And that's why I think it's tough to, like, really recognize who those people can be. Like, you know, if it's a good friend and you're doing something for yourself personally, or if it's a boss at work and knowing the right people to let in. Like, if there's not so great boss, I'm probably like, all right, I know I kind of got to do this for myself and just show up. And I'm going to have to motivate myself in the right way, because this person's more focused on them progressing more than they are me progressing, compared to the boss that, you know, we all would strive to have, would be like, hey, my success is your success. If you're succeeding, I'm succeeding. And they're focused on not so much what that looks like as for like their day-to-day tangible success, but more focused on what your day-to-day success is, and understanding that if you move forward in the way you should, then I'm going to get fulfillment out of it anyway.
I experienced this on Friday, and that's why I brought this up. Was I went golfing with Pat, his buddy Joe, and Nick from Pat's work. And Joe and I we rode bikes with Joe.
I didn't get out with Joe yet. Or
Yes,
did I?
you
Yes,
did.
I did. I'm sorry. You're
Joe
thinking of
was-
John,
Joe
the
was
other
a-
guy.
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
thinking of
yeah.
Joe. Joe's a great dude. Yeah.
So
Love
Joe
Joe.
and I riding in a cart, we're playing golf together, and like you got to remember, like Pat and Joe are, I believe they're 37, 38 compared to our 32, 33. So they got we weren't in high school at the same time together, right?
Yeah.
So these guys got a little bit of age difference on us, and I'm riding in a cart with Joe, and we're playing on the same kind of arguably team and whatnot. And he's like, "Oh, dude, that was a good shot. That was a good shot." And oh, don't be upset about that one. I'm like, I was like sitting in my head going, "Shut the fuck up! Like, what the fuck do you keep saying all this shit to me for?" Like, I hit
Tony Robbins.
Yeah, I hit my shot completely lost. His shot lost. We dropped the ball, and like I hit a shot, and it was I knew it was good. And he's like, "That was a good shot from there, man." And I'm like, "Man, shut the." I'm like sitting in
I
my
know
head.
it was a good shot, dude. I know.
And I'm like, dude. And then it took me like, I'm driving home and like, I had so much fun. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say here, but it was like, what I'm trying to say is I was feeling like I was being coddled a little bit,
Yeah.
like this is an older person than me. Like they're taking me under their wing. And I'm like, I know that I'm pretty decent at golf and I just don't play enough. Like this was the second time I played all summer. And I'm just sitting there going like, I like this guy a shit ton, but man, he's really treating me like I'm a little kid. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? And then I get home and I told Anastasia about it and whatnot. And she's like, isn't that what you do to like other people too? And I was like, man, fuck, you're right. I was like, damn.
No wonder I don't like it.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like,
That's my job.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm supposed to tell you that was a good shot, bro.
Who's doing this for me? And then I sit here and I bitch and I complain like, where's my accountability part? Where's the person holding me to the next level? And then I get someone like that in my life,
You're
and
like,
I'm sitting there going, what the fuck is this bullshit? This is fucking. And then I have to take that time and turn it back into gratitude and go, wow, man, I really am appreciative of like meeting this new dude in my life. Like he is a really cool guy. Like I look forward to like going down and going down. He invited me down anytime you want to come down. Like I know pretty much nobody wants to come down to where I live, but you come down anytime, man. And I was like, hell yeah. And then you turn around, like I said, and have that gratitude of like, I had a blast. And like, why did you ask them before they left? Like, hey, I know you're leaving like Sunday. If there's any chance you want to play golf tomorrow, like, let me know. Even though I was sitting there for like most of the round thinking like, why is this guy coddling me? Like, I feel like I'm being like, shown the way. Like, I feel like I'm supposed to be that. Like you said, I'm supposed to be that person. And then I had all this gratitude and like coming home, and then especially Haas, like after telling her the story, like, cause I'm sitting there thinking on my way home about it. Wow. Like rock'em sock'em roboted myself again, And so accountability partners for you, Brando, like you got Hannah on the way, so obviously you got an accountability partner who's a 100.
Yeah. So one, it'd be like her. That's probably gonna be my number one, even though Trisha is like, she is my number one. But that'll keep me like grounded to like, hey, I know I got to do X, Y, Z. Like the amount of preparation for this baby shower is way more than I expected. It's crazy. Like the projects that just surfaced that weren't gonna be like now projects that all of a sudden became now projects. Like I have like benches that we stained. I'm like, we don't need to do this now. Is like shit, but then we can't have them like, gotta move them outside. Then we got to have them treated for the weather, because that's the whole reason that my brother got rid of them, is because they weren't staining them. They got ones that were stained to replace them. So I'm like, all right, got to go do this. So I would say my number one accountability partner is Trisha. She's a great person to highlight because we keep each other accountable, because one, we know a thing or two about transformation, change, like professionally, not just like I've read it in a self-development book. I have plenty of those. I've read quite a few of them, but we know a thing about transformation, change, the push and pull. And one of the things that I've been running into lately is like, I'm a manager, so I have employees that I'm responsible for, and I have to keep them motivated, but also grounded in doing their responsibility. And as things are getting more intense with like my job, there's construction happening that's interfering with the job. There's changes happening with the future of the company that I work for. We're in multiple seasons that overlap with each other. Like, I'll just say sports teams, 3 sports teams that are overlapping. Actually, wait, there's kind of a fourth that's slipping in there too. And we also got like different visitors. I'll just say that different groups of visitors in different ways that are coming in rapid fire. And those populations, there's multiple populations running into each other. So I'm like, all right, guys, the whole job is to like pretty much be accountable. My attention is, if I'm in that role, my attention is the number one. And I got people who are not paying attention and they're getting balls deep on their phone and all this. And I really have to toe the line between encouragement and discouragement. And it's really hard because me, like we talked about internal standards. When I was in that role, I'm like that 100% completely externally accountable. I'm like, I'm here, and I was internally accountable because I just left a cashier job where I was running around like a slave. And then all of a sudden I only have a few like things I got to worry about. My attention. Are there people there? Is there an accident about to happen? Are there needs that need addressed? But you're just paying for my attention. I don't have to do anything about else but like respond to issues. So then I got people who are talking about other people, being jealous about what they're doing versus what they're doing. Perfect example. This person was like jealous that the other person was in the AC for like 10 minutes. And I'm like, dude, come on. Like, don't pay attention to them. Pay attention to yourself. Like, one, I saw that person. I've been working with them in the past 3 hours. I don't know which 10-minute period you're talking about, but I've been working with them in 3 hours multiple times outside for like 20 minutes at a time until I move to the next post and check my other people. But I'm like, dude, you got to like pay attention. You got to not be jealous of other people. And then this dude, he goes and he has like a 30-minute break on the clock. And I'm like, dude, we literally talked about it like 2 days ago. If you want to power down and recharge, let me know. We'll get someone to cover you. And then you can have your opportunity to power down and recharge. But we're going to do that off the clock. Or you could recharge for like 5-10 minutes. That's what we do. We try to cover each other's spot for 5 minutes, recharge, and then you get paid and you're fresh. But I come by. He wants to talk about, you got sunglasses. The sun's a little bright. I got a headache. Can I get like a break? I'm kind of hot and hungry. And I'm like, yeah, me too, man. I've been out here since like 8 a.m. I'm going on hour 8, and I still got about like 6 to 7 more hours to go. I don't want to hear it, but I got to dial it down and be like, yeah, let me check into that. Like, give me 1 second. I got to go take care of these 5 things. I'll come back and I'll see if I have an extra set. I come back. But like, I got that guy all summer. I need him to rely on him. I need to build him up. I need him to be not just like my summer person, but I also need him for all my events. And I know that my people who are in charge of staffing and giving me the people, that's the person they plan on. So I'm like, Brandon, be careful what you wish for, because if you don't develop this person, you're going to end up getting someone who's really discouraged and doesn't want to be there at all. Right now, you have a young person, 20 years old. You got a lot of potential. So for me, I mention him because that one's a one-way street. If he comes back and is, because he's done it a few times, hey, can I make a suggestion? And his suggestions are always like, how do I get from 100% of my attention to 80%? And I'm like, no. It's like, I'm just going to put this chair out in the way. And I go, if you put a chair there, it's going to cause a huge hazard and things are going to go really bad. Don't do that. And then I find him doing something else that's similar along the path. And I'm like, hey, what's going on? I'm like, let's understand the purpose of what we're after. The purpose is so that people are taken care of in the time they come in and they get out in a timely manner. So by you wanting to find these shortcuts, it's interfering with your job. Not just what I'm responsible for. I'm responsible for you to do your job, but now you're not taking the accountability. But the other example I thought about was my parents. Great accountability partners. But if I go do the same thing that my guy is doing to me, then I'm going to insult my parents. Like if I'm like, hey, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to come up with a made up example. I'll just say, hey, our dog's toenails need clipped or something like that. Be like, okay, do you realize like what we're doing to like prepare for your baby shower? Like what the fuck? If I went, Meanwhile, my dog's toenails are fine. But just saying,
Yeah,
like, if I
completely
were,
tone deaf. Yeah.
yeah, if I were to go for that, then it'd be crazy. But I think the person who's a perfect accountability partner is they recognize change, transformation. Like you always look for is to see the potential in people, and just put a little bit of gasoline and accelerator as needed. But like also for Trisha, she recognizes blind spots really well. She'll know like, hey, the people pleaser. I think she's the best person to keep me accountable for people pleasing and be like, do you really have time for that? Or you think like I went to go do like one chore over the other, and she's like, I was thinking that was kind of like a next year task, and I immediately was like, and then I was like, she's kind of right. That can wait. I should probably go do the dishes because they've been sitting there since yesterday. So I think the accountability person, they recognize transformation. They understand the push, pull, and they ultimately want to help push you forward. Like both of you guys, I see that you guys want the best in me, the best in the rest of our friends. Like you just want to see that person be happy. So I think the accountability person, the most number one thing is recognizing the blind spots and knowing when to push and pull. I think that's number one for me.
That's extremely hard because you, and we talked about it in this podcast too, is you're trying to be that person for somebody, but also be worried about how that person's viewing you in terms of, you just said it. Am I being a good friend? Am I, is this person still going to like me because I like them and I like everything about them, but I also know that they've talked to me about how they don't want to be this person anymore. And so how do I kind of bring that up without them going, well, fuck you, you know? Or I'm not going to call Titty this week. That's the last time I invite him somewhere because he just came around and called me on my bullshit, even though I was drunk last week and told him about all the bullshit I don't want to do anymore, you know? Oh, well, I totally forgot about that. You know, I'm not going to take that into consideration because my awareness is on 0 or something along those lines. So in terms of routines, mindsets, and what type of systems help you track your accountability for yourself, I would say that mine were definitely this little 2-page system that I have. I've tried many different things. I said Notion trackers. I'm going to turn my life into a video game. And I just I liked and I enjoyed them, but there were also those curveballs in life that I don't always do those on Saturdays for some reason. Like I know what I want to do, but like if I wake up and I do the couple things that I want to do, I make sure I get my minerals, I make sure that I do my quick little journal, and go on 100 freaking mile bike ride that takes half my day. Like I'm not going to write down 100-mile bike ride on my freaking checklist. Like I'm just going to go do it. And I don't need to, I did my bike ride today. Now I do.
Took a shit today.
Yes. But I do definitely on like Monday through Friday when I set up my, checklist and whatnot, or in my, what I'm going to do each day, I totally put PM bike ride on Tuesdays and Thursdays because I want to know for myself when I wake up, I remind myself tomorrow is I'm focusing on riding my bike tomorrow. I don't need to think about what I could be doing for the business, what I could be doing for the podcast, what I could be doing to elevate myself to the next level. This is something that I love to do. I enjoy doing it. And every time I'm done doing it, I have so much gratitude for it. So why would I rob myself of thinking about all these other potential things? No, I'm putting this on my list for, Tuesdays. That's what I'm focused on. And that just wipes out all the other stuff. And it was funny when Evan and I were riding and he made a comment. He's like, we got together and he said, I'm good for whatever you want to, however many miles you want to do today. And I said, well, brother, on Tuesdays and Thursdays until you go back to school, my focus is riding bikes with you. So This is all I'm doing tonight. If I get home late, I don't care. I am fine with this. We got the lights. We'll do whatever, man. If I'm getting home at 9:30 tonight because we rode farther and we rode longer than we wanted to, I don't give a shit because this is my only focus. I'm not thinking about the fact that I'm going to go to home. I'm probably going to want to eat something because I just burned all these calories, even though I told myself I'm not eating after 9 o'clock, so that I try to do that 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. window of like 12-hour fasting every single day. I push all that out the window, and because that's what I want to focus on that day. And yes, it can, it's funny. My whoop this week is hilarious. I got to show you guys. It literally made a perfect W of like my recoveries are in the green. Then the day after on Wednesday, the recoveries in red.
Oh, jeez.
Thursday, because I just worked out and did the ice bath and the sauna. Thursday recovery is huge, up in the green. And then Friday, down in the red again because of the bike rides on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And it made a perfect W this week on my recovery, score. And I had no regret to that situation of like wake up and I go, oh my Lord, I have a 19% recovery score. How am I going to go through today? No, you got to do something you loved last night. Your systems are built out for this. And you know that you just go through the motions at work right now anyway. So just go through the motions, get your job done, and you're learning. And this is something that I definitely want to highlight. If you're not learning and growing at your job, then you better be more focused somewhere else with your learning and your growing, because you should always be learning and growing in life. If you're not, then in my personal opinion, if you're not learning and growing, yes, it's one thing of like, think about a plant or a tree. Like that tree is going to get to a certain size, and then until next year, it might not, until the summer solstice comes back around, it might not have that ability to grow more because now it's just maintaining through the winter and it's not growing through the winter. But also, in my personal opinion, if you're not having that growth happening, then you're decaying, which ultimately means that you're working towards death.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whoa.
There's a quote that wraps it up. They say, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, I mean, with Brandon mentioning a mission statement in his life, I did think about that a bit. I think I did mention this to you.
Did you create one?
Yeah, my mission statement is stop acting like I'm not going to die.
We
talked. I need to. I said that's the worst mission statement. Anyway, it's like it's not a mantra. Like mantra is like I'm a powerful being. I'm capable of anything. I'm a being of love and light. No, that's what I'm like. Stop acting like you're not gonna fucking die, idiot. Like that's like, and it's true because there's a lot of these ideas that like as far as accountability goes, I can't wait for the perfect moment to come along to start holding myself accountable. Like you have to have the belief that you can go out there and make it happen for yourself at any point, at any time. You can walk through that door into a different reality and become a different person instantly. And we all have that power to do that. And that's what's tough is I have found myself in the past going, I can just do it tomorrow. I can do whatever. And then I'm at the gym yesterday trying to do like a chest press. And I'm like, I am the weakest I may have ever been in my entire life as far as upper body goes. This is not good. And then when you hit your 30s, it just decays quickly over and over, and to the point where like you're not going to get the chance to get back to where you could be back at all. So having that in mind, and being someone who isn't incredibly systems focused or the more go with the flow, I think that's perfectly fine. But I can understand that just wanting something isn't enough, and that I probably need to get back into the systems of life, like sitting down with my girlfriend again later, now that very happy and proud of her for finishing up school. But again, living with someone who we do share a lot of the same goals, like getting back into physical fitness, spending more time developing ourselves or reading or doing little things. Not eating after 9 o'clock is another thing that I need to stop doing. Like I love the idea of that, but I think it's nice to have someone in my life that I can lean into a little more. But like this, even today, we're going to sit down and kind of build out like that system again we used to when we started living together before we, got too busy with work or school or whatever, where there is the understanding of, okay, we're going to cook on Sunday. We're going to have meal prep ready for the first couple of days. We're going to move every day. This is the way we plan on moving. You have your class on Tuesday. When you do your class, I'm going to do the bike ride, and digging into that and understanding that, the way I'll get there personally, even just removing her, would be to just understand what the best version of myself is, like envisioning that, and then trying every day to get as close to that as I possibly can. Being mindful, though, that like it isn't big steps. I can't take big steps. I can't go home and clean my whole house at once. There's no possible way that even makes sense to say, okay, I have 7 rooms in my house. If I just focus really hard, all of them will clean at once. Like, I have to go into each room and clean. Yeah, I can't even cross my eyes. If I could, it'd probably be my permanent state. But if I want to clean the house, I have to start room by room. So if I want to make progress in my life, for me, it's going to have to be smaller, incremental steps. I'm going to have to just say, when we were talking about working out, I'm like, hey, I want to get into lifting. I want to do more strength training. Like, those are all things I want to do. And yesterday we're like, okay, do you want to start that? I'm like, no, we haven't been to the gym in a month. Like, let's just go to the gym and do the act of going to the gym. You go do the stair climb or whatever. I'll go on the elliptical for 40 minutes and sweat it out, and we're done. And we'll say, hey, we fucking did it, and we're moving on to the next day. And that builds momentum for me. So I think the small steps, the building momentum, and then the one thing I thought of that you brought up is with external motivation or accountability, like there's always this, like, I don't know, there's this idea of like emotion tied to it. Like, oh man, like I have to get this done. And if I don't, I have to answer to something. And when it's internal, I don't feel that as much. Like I don't feel the consequences there. I don't feel the emotion tied to it. So I think for me, one thing I'd like to implement is carrying the same emotion I may carry from an accountability aspect on the external side as I would on the internal side. Like, show the same emotion that I would if I had to answer to my boss at work as I will be as having answered myself if I don't work out the day I wanted to. Things like that I think will help me in the future for sure.
Small wins.
Yeah, just small wins for sure.
Yeah, that's honestly, I'm having a lot of repeating on what you're saying, but for me, I like trick my brain. I am like working out. Zack got to see me after I've been months of working out, but like whenever you start working out, you're like, oh, inflammation, this hurts. Like, I swear I'm stronger than this, but like, why can't I put this up? And it's like, you are stronger. You just haven't been doing it.
Right.
So for me, it's all about like building up the wins, like you said, building up so then you become consistent until a point where you could get to enjoy it. And Trisha, I was just talking to the one guy at work. She came by, so she got to meet him. But he was teaching me about like, hey man, you wouldn't believe how much wonder it is to do 500 push-ups and 500 air squats per day, every day. The guy's 15. He looks like he's 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, and believe me, like that's no exaggeration. He looks way healthier than me, and he's 20 years older than me. And he talks about that. He's like, you don't have to do it all right at once. And, I try to get out 200 before 9 a.m. or 11 a.m. And then the rest of the day I have to just catch up. But for me, for consistency, that makes me like build up my things. Like the journal, that little journal I haven't been on it. But like when I did, I noticed like, it's just part of your day. It's just built in. And we've talked about in a previous episode of building your mental mountains. Once you build it far enough, it just becomes part of your identity. And that's just what you do at that time of day. And then you keep coming back to it, and you're like, it doesn't even bother me anymore. After work, I go to the gym. When I was machining, it's so funny how when I was machining, I got into a like machining mindset of, all right, you got 6 things to do all at this exact same time, but like they're all scheduled. So then you're just like, okay, this is just what I do at that time. While I have this machine running, this machine's running, I got 2 minutes until that next cycle's up. I'm going to be measuring my piece while that's running, and I need to do it under 2 minutes. As soon as I get back, I go pull that thing open. I'm like, all right, here, I got to move this. Boom, send it shut. 30 seconds later, I know that one's coming open. All right, boom. 30 seconds later, I know those 2 are running for another 6 minutes. I go measure the other one. And then it's like you just get used to, okay, now these things happen. After all that was said and done, 12 hours of working my ass off, then I go to the gym for an hour and a half. That's just what I do. And then I come home. It's like 9 o'clock. this is actually funny that you talked about the eating. 9 o'clock I'd eat, and then by like
Yeah.
10 o'clock I'm in bed. And then next morning I'm waking up at 6 a.m., start it all over again. So like for me, that if I was to try to do a 12-hour workday, do all those things at the exact same time, and then go to the gym and all start in the same day, I'm not coming back the next day. Like, fuck that. Like,
Yeah.
but like, Zack got to see me after I was like 2 months in, and it's just like, oh, these things, all the inflammation's chased out of my muscles. So like that bicep workout, that still was crazy and stupid for me to be like, oh, we should try this out. But like all the inflammation was out of my body. So like those areas and those things and the ability to transport oxygen through the blood, all those things are all like just built up. So for me, my way of building like any routine mindset system, I have to trick my brain. I can't go into right away. Like I've talked to Zack about this. I have so much respect for the ability to build out systems. And I'll speak for you a little bit. That's not all just like, you're not born with that. You worked for that. You worked a very long time to build those things up to become a beast at it. So for anyone listening, like, you know, it's not just that people are born super organized or super good at building out their things. It all takes time and effort and failure too. Like has to be times where if you're not failing, you're not really trying. And if anyone's lifted weights, they know that's just part of the process.
Yeah. I love the funny joke that I heard at one point in time was, I never met a toddler who knew how to do drywall, you know? And just so like what you just said. And the thing that I've really been enjoying is when I am scrolling TikTok and I get into those, you know, that little loop of people who are sharing workout content. There's so many people out there now that are talking about all the things that you have to do before you actually would do what you're seeing that person do of, this is the badass workout to do. This is the Joe Rogan, you know, kettlebell workout. And it is a great workout. But you're not just ripping. Okay, you're not ripping a 70-pound kettlebell to start that workout. You might honestly need to do that entire workout with just using just body weight, sitting there just looking ridiculous because you got no weight in your hand, but you're just stretching the arm, or doing the lunges and all that stuff, doing the kettlebell swings with nothing in your hands. And I've seen so many people now on there saying like, this is a 2-year process. This isn't just you're going to be, 2 months down the road and ripping all these things that I'm talking about right now. This is a 2-year-long ability to get to this place. So I would say the last one of, if the version of you in your head could sit across from you right now, what would it say about how you're showing up today? And mine would say, it's all about mindset. You are the only one who has control over all of this stuff. It is only you, and you said this earlier, it is only you who can decide what you're going to do, what you're going to accomplish, how you're going to be there for yourself. It's very rare that you get the opportunity to have people come into your life of a coach or a mentor or a friend who's going to kind of kick you in the ass and be able to do it in a way that you don't say, fuck that person, I don't want to talk to them anymore. It's you who has to be that internal coach. It's you who has to be that mentor for yourself, because at the end of the day, you come into a family, but you came into life alone and you're going to leave alone. So arguably, you get all these great opportunities to be able to connect and communicate and, shell your seed out to other people, have other people, water your garden. You have the opportunity to water their garden, but only you can decide to plant the seed. Only you are going to be the one who arguably makes those choices. So it's all about the mindset over everything for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, it would just be an idea of, I'm proud of the fact that I show up every day, and I understand that might be half the fight, but the question is, are you coasting? Are you really actually pushing yourself? Am I leading the pack of 5 of us on the bike in the front, pushing the pace, or am I sitting behind you just doing half the work? You know, like that's kind of what I think of on my end, because that's a hard question to ask. And that puts you in the sense of, am I prioritizing comfort over growth? Am I having the tough conversations with myself that imply, like, are you living intentionally, or are you just reacting to situations as they come? And those things are tough for me because, if I want to truly hold myself accountable, it's a lot of putting myself out of the world of comfort, putting myself in situations where it inflicts pain, either emotionally or physically or whatever it might be. And I think, taking full responsibility for your life and understanding that you are in charge of where you go and no one else is, no matter who your accountability partner is, or if you are motivated by internal or external accountability more. And I think my understanding is both can be used to benefit you for sure. But the real thought process there is, I definitely need to lean into myself more on the encouragement side, but also I think even just like a little bit of like tough love too. Like, hey, it's cool you feel that way, but keep in mind where you want to go, and you're never going to feel like doing the things that you want to do for every time you do them. And that understanding alone, I think, will help me be more accountable in the future. Just the thought process of, if I want to go where I want to go, then it's completely up to me to do so. And I have the power to do that. And that daily reminder, I think, is huge, of just knowing that maybe I don't feel the same way, my emotions aren't regulating the right way, but trying to remove that emotion from the situation as much as I can. I'm a very emotional person, so it is tough. But on the other side, I just, as much as I'm emotional before I do something, I'm super stoked after I do it. And I can I'd rather live in that world than live in the world of disappointment more than fulfillment, for sure.
Yeah, the personal empowerment to take that emotion and find out that it's just energy in motion.
Yeah, I'm sick of people telling me how great I am. I'd like to believe it myself.
Truth.
Damn.
Like all 3 of us could listen to that again.
Yeah.
Repeat.
It's funny. When I wrote my notes, I had a kick-ass day, so it's like actually not reflective that well of some of the times whenever I'm like lower down on my own totem pole. If you guys end up looking at my notes, you'll see I felt like a roided out octopus. Just boom, 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 boom. Like all these things are just like, I'm making sure everything's moving, and like that machinist mentality, don't let the ball stop.
Yeah.
Just keep everything rolling and trying to keep everything moving and trying to be ahead of things. And then after I had like a day where I cooked in the sun for like 92, 91 degrees, came home, powered this out, then I even did stuff around the house, and I was like, damn, man. So from what I have here written down, it's not reflective of what the inside of me would like to say to me. The inside of me is like, man, what are you doing? Like, honor yourself. Like what we talked about, you need to be honoring yourself. Give yourself those opportunities to honor that internal accountability, because like you guys can think about how many times I've talked about writing. I was like, how much time you've talked about it, the amount of times you talked about writing, you could have a pretty sick book or story. But when have I done that? I haven't. And even like the journaling I do, that sense of clarity, I'm like chasing. I'm like, I want that clarity so bad. But then like I think about the big package of, yeah, but the hours involved, you know how long that would take? Like we even talked about a long time ago, organized chaos, or I think a better title would be like thoughts. Well, I'm going to say that. I don't want to say that publicly. We'll keep that between us. Title for, building out a journal that other people could use in different ways that could help them gain clarity. Don't steal our idea. We still haven't got there. But like, I think that there's a lot of times that I would probably tell myself, like, hey, you're not really honoring yourself. Like, you're going through all 3 of us in our jobs right now, if I'm wrong, correct me, but we're not honoring ourselves in the sense of, like, we're going and doing things for other people, but those things, they're not aligning with our beliefs to give us the money that we deserve for selling our soul for whether it's 8 hours, 9 hours, 12 hours. We're not honoring ourselves in those ways. So my person in front of me, if he came out, he'd say, hey, man, like, pull your head out of your ass and, every now and then say no when you don't have the ability, or just honor yourself, get yourself in line with what you believe in and what you want to do. And I don't know, maybe take some, when you get your next time off from work, like a holiday or something, like we joked about, I had a whole week from my previous company. I fucked off the whole week. I had a whole week off, and I'm like, oh, you could do all these things. And it's like, man, why don't you try keeping yourself accountable to what you want, like you get paid to do it? Like this, like the we do, like, I'll be honest, for them, they're not going to see behind the scenes. Like, you guys are kicking ass when it comes to editing, mapping things out. Me, I'm just trying to, keep my head above water in my personal life and not doing a great job at it. I could definitely use a lot less time scrolling. Like, if myself comes out, he'd say, hey, Brandon, I know you're tired and shit, but why don't you go to the gym so tomorrow or 2 to 3 days from now, whenever you're like dragging your feet and falling asleep on the couch, you're just going to give yourself an extra hour of wakefulness. Why don't you go do that? Go to the gym. Just get your blood pumping. Try to get a little healthier so then you can actually give yourself the life you want. And what you said, Derick, you're going to die someday. It's like, it could be next year. So why wait until next year to start making life important to you?
Yeah, I would, to your point of, do you guys feel the same way? I would say, in terms of the job that I do right now, I'm not working for spiritual money. I'm working for, competitive money. Or collaborative money, sort of, because I work with other companies and we have to come together to be able to build a final project together. But I'm not working for spiritual money in the sense of the things that I'm doing to make my money have this mission statement behind it that I feel lights me up. And so my final point to our accountability conversation would be, we live in this beautiful digital age right now where everything that we talk about is, you have the opportunity to have a positive relationship or a negative relationship with it. So it can be so easy that you sit on social media and think, oh, well, I'm never going to look like that guy who can do high rocks, or I'm not going to be able to become that business person who's, oh, this guy's talking about, well, if you're watching these types of clips, you're going to be a millionaire one day. Well, how am I going to be a millionaire one day if I'm sitting here scrolling this shit? and I'm not. Or you can choose to allow those things to be that driver of, maybe you don't have those mentors in life or those teachers or those people who are pushing you towards that. And that is what you utilize as your teachers, your mentors, or your driving force behind accomplishing those things that you want to accomplish in your life.
Yeah. Yeah. No app's going to tell you, or actually I've tried this, the accountability apps. Like, oh, this is going to be like your goals for the day. No app is going to get you out of bed. No Christ-like figure is going to come down from the sky at 5 a.m. and sit outside your window and say, hey, Derick, it's time to get up. It's time to get up. You have to go do it for yourself. And the more we can lean to that as soon as humanly possible, the better.
Yeah. I think as far as accountability, I think there's a lot that we still have to learn, but there's a lot that our viewers can also learn as we continue to go through this journey. And I think there's so many more blind spots as we continue to go, we're going to see come up. But I also recommend anybody listening, throw in the comments, hey, this is something that helped me. Even if we don't get to look at it, you know how many people look at the comments? Comments right now are our way of capturing what the world is like, the good and the bad.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of opportunity for everyone to go through, watch this video, watch it again, take some notes on it, get your ass up, journal, do the things you need to do. And my last point is honor yourself.
Yeah. Can we build that app that brings accountability to each other? And because and like you said, I don't think that there's an app or an artificial intelligence, and that's not me shooting a shot at AI. We love you, but iRobot. But I
we
think,
totally love you. Please, when you do, like our impending doom's coming soon, we love you. 3 guys love artificial intelligence. Don't hurt us.
spare us. But I think that it comes from the group or the people that you have, and can you find that group or people who want to push each other to become those best versions of themselves, or the versions that those people strive to become. Be able to check off that bucket list. Be able to, I have these types of things that I want to accomplish in my life. Now people know. And so now it's not just I have these locked up inside my head, but I've put them out there, and they are behind a wall of where the people who I actually, we'll call it a kingdom, we'll call it a castle, the people who I actually allow my drawbridge down to come into my castle know about what I want to build and what I want to do. And the people who would be the people who would throw boulders at my dreams and try to smash them are the people who never get to cross that drawbridge.
Yeah, got to build your barriers.
Yeah. So, as always, the group says, don't trust us, trust yourself. And that is a statement because these are authentic dumps. These are vulnerable dumps that we share on this podcast,
I
on
had a
these
vulnerable
episodes.
dump in your bathroom earlier
Yes,
this
you
week.
Definitely do. That was bad. That was uncomfortable for you, not for me. That was funny as all hell. We'll tell that story behind, closed doors.
A paywall.
For you guys.
You have to pay to hear about my vulnerable dump.
Join the Discord, and
VD.
Derry will share that. If you join the Discord and you ask for the vulnerable dump
If we
story,
get one
we'll share it.
person to join the Discord from this episode, I will share my vulnerable dump. Boom.
So
Join the Discord.
we got Brandon, we got Derick, we got myself, Zack. We're the Dismount OGs, and the reason why we say don't trust us, trust yourself is because you got all the answers, and we're gonna just unlock them together. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll see you guys on the next one. Take care.
Thank you.
Later.
Thanks again for tuning in. Don't hesitate to catch the gang's next release, episode 52, Gifts. How do I give and receive openly? Well, this episode's going to drop right around Christmas time. That, holiday vibe, spirit, all the grind that is the holidays of making the food, getting the gifts. Did I get the right gifts? How, am I receiving openly? Am I also giving openly? And how does that all just correlate back to my growth, how far I've come in life, and where I'm heading to in the future? Let's give you 2 sneak peek questions from that episode. Question number 1, when you give, whether time, energy, or material things, are you doing it from fullness or from fear of not being enough? And then a second question on that episode is going to be, is there a time when you gave too much and it drained you? How did you learn to set boundaries around generosity? Woo! All right, folks, we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks again for tuning in. Bye.